Got some Voltron in the back, Art of Atari. Very nice.
Original owner of that GB36 Voltron from when I was a kid.
Very nice.
Yeah, not something I picked
Love
up
it.
off the rack. So I figured you might appreciate it. That's always in the background. I didn't pose that today. That's been there.
Love it. Love it. Looks
Yeah.
good. I love it.
Cool, cool. But well, can I start with a quick thank you? What Decon has done for the creative community. It's just amazing. Thanks for that. On top of that, you're still a fan of it all, and you don't seem to be jaded about it at all. And all your interviews, you're over the years, you're so gracious with sharing your knowledge, and but you're also like super excited, and that's kind of awesome for and admirable as a fan. So thanks for being authentic. It really shows in the show too. Like it doesn't seem like it's losing any steam because it seems like you're excited. That seems you are, and we feel it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot to me, like from one fan to another, like hearing that. I love doing the show. We've had our ups and downs. I'm not gonna lie. Like we've had, slower shows, great shows, big shows, but at the end of the day, every time we do the show, and I've always emphasized this, because some people like, oh, it's a cash grab. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like we're doing this for the fun. There's like, if ever was anyone to ask me, like, hey, like, you make like a lot of money running a trade show, it's like, no, don't do it. If you're in for the money, don't do it. Like you're gonna lose your ass. But we love, me and my team, me especially, we love doing the show because we're first and foremost fans and collectors. So it's always exciting seeing what's new out there. It's always exciting putting on another show. And you know we've been asked before, like, how did it even come about? How did the show even start? It's like, it was a way to get the fans together. It was a way to
Mhm.
get the other collectors in the same room talking about what we all like. That's all it is, except now it's on a bigger scale with, international people, not just guys driving down from LA or Pasadena or anything like that. We've got so many cool artists coming from Japan, so many cool artists from Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, China, artists from Mexico, Canada. It's all parts of Europe. It really is incredible. And the funny thing is, it doesn't matter what language you speak, what country you're from, what the politics are of that country. When everybody's at DesignerCon and all we are is talking about toys and
Mhm.
figures, collection, and what you grew up with, and who's your favorite artist, all of that, like, it's just, we're all talking the same language, and I
A
love it.
100%. It's finding our people, right? Like that's
Exactly.
huge. Yeah, yeah. So DesignerCon has done a great job of evolving and growing, as you mentioned. Like you said, from Pasadena to Anaheim. A few years back, you added a little bit of a sneaker culture. You even got people from Kid Robot to Funko and Medicom making this kind of one of their major events. And then adding things new like the Vincents last year. So for 2023, what are some new experiences that fans can get excited about?
There's always new artists coming on board, so we're usually pretty excited about what these new artists are bringing. We do have some new larger companies coming out of different parts of Asia that
Cool.
produce toys that have never been able to do Designer Con and now are making the effort to do it. So you'll see toys and collectibles that are usually really hard to find, which is kind of our forte, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
harder to find collectibles. We also are doing things with clothing companies. Like we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of the hundreds at the show.
Mhm.
We have Obey coming in again this year and going to be showing off some stuff. I mean, last year we debuted Shepard Fairey's very, very, very first bear brick that he's ever made, and that was done with Medicom Toys out of Japan. Obey had a booth also. They're back again this year, and we're doing something even more special this year. So we have that. We're also, so that's kind of like apparel and art and all that, but we're also teaming up with Def Jam Records
Oh,
to
sweet.
celebrate hip hop's 50th anniversary. Needless to say, there's a lot of artists out there in our community that love the hip hop scene. So Def Jam and a couple of DJs are coming in, and there's going to be possibly some surprise items and artwork and things like that available. Um, and then also talking about celebrations, we are celebrating with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce the 100th anniversary of the Hollywood sign. So we're doing it in DesignerCon fashion. And what we did was we as DesignerCon, we produced 100 small versions of the Hollywood sign. And it was actually designed by another artist by the name of Anch. We
Yep.
produced these Hollywood signs, 100 of them, and we're giving it to 100 different artists. So every year we do a special art show. This is the art show this year. We're doing 100 artists for Hollywood 100, and it's 100 versions of the Hollywood sign designed by all of these artists. Is there going to be a Hollywood sign inside of DesignerCon this year? Maybe. Will it be as big as the one on the hill? Probably not, but it's gonna be big. It's really incredible because it's 100 artists. I don't think we've ever done a show with 100 artists, 30 artists, 40 artists, maybe, but we're actually getting 100 of these things, and it's the same platform. That's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's actually a 3D physical.
That's going to be amazing to see all the different takes on it, kind of like the Dunny, everybody does their version of it. That's
Yeah.
be fun. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Just like great design, you do such a solid job kind of evolving and growing decon, like this example, like you found new ways. How do you keep it fresh and innovative? Like it's always something new, like it doesn't feel stale. How do you stay on top?
Well, I think it's about continuing to be a fan and continuing to be excited. I've always told people, like, in terms of how we run the show, we curate everything. We curate everything that's on the floor. And what that allows us to do is basically we step back and we say, yes, we can bring in this massive company and they'll pay us a lot of money to be on the show floor, but does it make sense? What are they going to do to bring the artist community, together through the way that our audience sees it, through our audience lens? And I think as long as we continue to do that, the show continues to grow and continues to show off new things. For us, it's really exciting because we get to play around with this idea and we get to get the community involved in a much different way. So we'll have larger companies come in and be like, look, we really want to do something special for your audience. We ourselves are collectors. We come to your show and we buy stuff. We want to be involved. Can you help us out? And that's when we step in as DesignerCon and go like, look, we have an amazing roster of designers and artists on the show floor. What are you looking for? Maybe we can reach out to somebody. Maybe we can connect you guys. And now we have a collaboration going on. So that's really the magic that happens at DCon and how we keep going and why we're excited to keep doing it. Because it's really just going back to the whole fan/community base and creating something special with it. And there's always something that we can do. There's always cool stuff that we can do.
That's great. Again, as a fan, great to hear. Like again, you brought up that you put this together for the community, and the fact that you're saying, hey, if you want to be part of this community, not if, but just you're opening that door for collaboration when a bigger piece wants to come in, and you're like, hey, let's talk about it. It's not prescribed either way. Let's make this beneficial for everybody. So that's awesome to hear. That's really cool.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. And the best part is we have a lot of fun doing it, especially when we see the final product and we're like, wow, that's so cool. And we help make that happen. And then we're like, and we need to get one for my collection. So
I mean, that's the fun part of creative is whenever you bounce it off somebody or a few people, it's just gonna get better. And it's just the community. That's just how we work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any tips for first timers to decon or even veterans who might not be maximizing their decon experience?
So for the first timers, I would recommend just come and have a good time. This isn't your Comic Cons out there. This is a completely different show, which really separates us from the rest. kind of gauge the map. Go on our website and look at the map, and it's an interactive map, so you can
Mhm.
click on whatever vendor you want and highlight it and actually make a trail for yourself. But then at the same time, there's always something special about just coming into DCon, not knowing what it is, not planning anything out, and just walk the floor. Honestly, like, the best experience that you will get is if you just go up and down every single aisle. And you are going to see things that you will never see anywhere else, that you've never seen before. And that's really the best part about DCon. There's something for everyone. So for a lot of people, a lot of people think like, oh, it's all like toys and like things like that. So it's like you'll see a lot of like dads coming, but I think also through the years, families have realized like there's something for mom, there's something for the girlfriend, there's definitely something for the kids. We're a very family friendly show.
Mhm.
So for the newcomers, just come and walk the show. There's something for everyone. You know, if you're one of those people that have come to the show for years and years and years, and you're getting to a point where you're like, oh man, it's like the same thing over and over again, you are not doing the decon right. Like, you are not walking the floor. If you're visiting the same three vendors and the same two artists that you always visit every year, you're not getting the full decon experience. The whole point of the show is to introduce you as a veteran to brand new companies, brand new artists, brand new ideas, brand new technology, and really just walk the show and enjoy it. Like, you're gonna find things out there that you're gonna be like, holy moly, like this is so cool. And it's funny because we get a lot of veterans or people that have come to the show that discover something new. It's like, wow, this guy just first year at your show doing this. It's like, actually, he's been at the show for the past 3 years. You've just never noticed him.
New to you.
So, but it's great that you do now. Now he's got another fan, another person. So, as a veteran of the show, I would say treat it like your first time. Walk into that show and pretend like you've never even been here, and just walk it and see what you can find.
I remembered my buddy checked it out, part of Convention.Life, before I did. He was there at the last year at Pasadena, and he's like, Art, I should have taken you. I'm like, what is it? He couldn't quite explain it. So I went the next year. And then we started bringing our other friends. And I finally said, look, to explain it is that it's not a bunch of resellers. It's these passionate creatives who made all these, some of them are one-offs, some of them are one of 50. You'll never
Yep.
find them anywhere else. And it's just like, if you, like you said, if you don't go up and down every single aisle, you'll miss out on something. And there's just so many
Exactly.
great new to me talents that I just would not have known. I mean, even through social media, there's so much clutter, but now they're all gathered and, like you said, curated into one place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a trip, but always, because I'll be the first to admit I spend a lot of money at the show too. Like, I buy, like, even as the guy who puts on the show, I still buy a lot of things. And the best part is like, I'm so tired at the end of the show. I come home with my bags full of stuff, and like I'll open them up like 3 or 4 days later. You know how you kind of like, you just set the stuff off to the side, and like I'm like, wow, I bought some really cool shit that I couldn't get anywhere else. And like, I do I do conventions all year long. I go to like a lot of conventions through the year, and it's like the stuff that I bought at Decon, I can honestly say I've never seen it, and I've never been able to purchase it at any other show. And that makes me really happy.
That's that. Again, I mentioned earlier, you're still a fan and it shows in the work. So thank you for that. And you just proved it there. Um,
Thanks.
so everyone measures success a little bit differently. Going back to the start of it all in 2006, what successes are you most proud of with Decon so far?
I think the fact that we're able to get the types of vendors that we're able to get, because when we started back in 2005 in a 1,000 square foot room at the Pasadena Conference Center, as it was called back then, because they didn't have the convention center until years later. And once again, it was like really made for the fans. It was like, hey, we're gonna get together and Like we're gonna talk about our collections, and then we're gonna have like 10 vendors in there that are local, and you get to buy stuff from them. So the fact that we have some of these like massive major companies coming out from halfway around the world to be at our show, that's insane. Like that is so crazy for me whenever I think about it. The fact that we have Metacom Toy, you know, the creators of the Bear Brick. I mean, talk about they have been around for over 25 years. And the fact that we can get them to come to DCon, the only show that they do in the United States, like they will not do any other show, and that we are the ones that they picked for the only show in the US, that makes me so happy. And that's really like a highlight for me. But aside from Metacom, there's several other companies where when we do our world travels, because we do our part and we go to Japan, we do visit Hong Kong, we go to different parts of China. And usually what we do when we go to these countries is we meet with the artists. So the fact that we're able to get these artists to say like, look, I don't go anywhere. Like I if I sell my stuff, I usually sell it through my website or through a third party or something. But the fact that we can tell them, this is your fan base, this is your community, and convince them to come and be there in person, and like, you've got a favorite artist, guess what? He or she, they're at DesignerCon. They're sitting there. They're waiting to talk to you. And you can geek out as much as you want in front of them, and they will appreciate it, and they will sign your artwork, and they will sign your toy, and they will give you a doodle in your sketchbook, because they're there. They're at DCon, and that you can't get that from, mostly any other show out there. And that these guys are coming in from, like I said, halfway around the world in order to do that. So that's really cool.
For sure. And then as you mentioned before too, about the community, so you get those bigger companies, and then you have the newer to us talent coming in, and then there's a place for them to meet and possibly collaborate later in the future. So you're creating the space for them to connect.
No, but you're absolutely right. And I'll give you an example of another story that there was an artist, I forgot where, but I think it was an artist out of the UK that came out to do the show one year. I'm not going to name anybody, but I remember at the end of the show, I came to the artist and I asked him, "Hey, how was the show? How'd you do? Like, did you sell anything?" And um, he's like, "No, I sold very little." I'm like, "Oh, shoot." And that as the creator, like, of the show, and the guy that convinces these guys to come in, when I hear that vendors don't do well, it hurts. It's like, kind of reflects on me. So I go, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." So like, so basically, like, the show was a bust for you. He goes, "Are you kidding me? This was the best show I've ever done." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I got to talk to this company and this company, and I talked to this artist, and I got to meet that artist, and I met 20 fans. And by the way, next year I'm coming back and I'm doing a collaboration with these guys, and I'm doing a figure with these guys, and I'm going to release a print with these guys." And I'm like, "Wow, that's insane." He goes, "Yeah, I just brought what I had. I wasn't expecting to sell anything. I mean, I sold a few things, but at the end of the day, I made so many connections networking at this show that I know what to bring, and I'm going to bring some amazing stuff next year." And needless to say, he did, and he did fantastic the following year. But it's that networking aspect. It's the fact that you're able to meet with your favorite artists and be like, "Let's do something together." It's the ability to meet with these larger companies, and they'll be like, "We want to use you for an artist series that we're planning." And then it helps when you got your fans there kind of promoting you and basically saying like, "We love your stuff, keep doing what you're doing." It helps a lot. So all those things, it's not just about the selling of the toys.
Yep.
It is very community driven, especially for the vendors.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, everybody measures success at Lane. That was a different success that you're not
Oh yeah.
thinking about, but that's amazing that made that many different connections. Ben, you've evolved as a creative professional from the music industry to toy to 3D retro to running one of the biggest conventions. Are there any future projects you and that you're doing that your fans can look out for that are coming up that you can talk
Um,
about?
any future projects on my end? I mean, I'm just continuing to, I love producing vinyl figures. So, that's kind of like my passion. So, just creating more new stuff with other artists. I'm able to tap into some of these larger artists, or actually, I love creating things with new artists, artists that haven't really been discovered too much. So really cool stuff. So that's kind of like what I'm working on right now.
Um,
Yeah.
Final question that's completely personal, that has nothing to do with Gcon, just because I know you're one of the biggest collectors in the world. If you could narrow down without not ranking, just purely top five things in your collection, what's your top five items in your collection?
Oh, okay. Well, at least I get five. Usually people only tell me one thing and you're done. Um, okay, so straight off the bat, and mind you, my collection spans like two-dimensional and
Yeah.
three-dimensional. So straight off the bat, one of my top five is I have a Drew Struzan original, and it's an alternate Back to the Future poster
Yeah.
that was not used,
I've
but it's
got
an original
goosebumps.
Drew Struzan. It's
I'm a
awesome.
I'm an illustrator by trade, and when you said Drew Struzan and original, I got goosebumps.
Original.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Yeah,
and an alternate that's not been printed of the Back to the Future poster.
correct. Yeah, it was one that, like, if you look in, there's a book of Drew Struzan art, and
Yeah,
like you can see all the alternate posters that he made that were
yeah,
not used. It's one of those, and I own the original. So that's kind of like a holy grail for me. One, because I'm a huge Drew Struzan fan, and two, because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan.
yeah.
So that,
Yeah, I think we're kind of the same in that we both love Drew Struzan. Let me ask you this: as a Back to the Future fan, how many times do we have to apologize for? Because I love Back to the Future 3. Not a lot of people do, but I genuinely like it like a lot. And I have to defend it. They're like, it's great. Stop. I'm sorry, I just went off on a tangent,
yeah,
but
no,
go back
I look,
to
for me, if you think you're a Back to the Future fan, then you have no idea. Like, I own a DeLorean.
I know,
Like,
I know you're like a
so it's like a thing. Like, and then on top of it, it's like kind of my kryptonite. Artists know that if they create a piece of Back to the Future art, like, they already know Ben's gonna buy this. Like, I'm gonna make this. This is already sold. Ben's gonna see it. He's
a
gonna
one of
buy it.
one.
That's it. But the fact that I've been able to take the knowledge and connections that I have with artists, and for the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future, we were able to actually work with Universal and make collectible figures, like legitimate Universal licensed art figures. So we got to work with Joe Ledbetter on, a figure. We got to work with artist Reina Cayano. We got to work with Tracy Tabera. We got to work with Kano for
Oh,
making the official Back to the Future bear bricks. So maybe if I can group group that 35th anniversary experience into one, like, that was amazing. So that was like my passion of Back to the Future, and I just love that. So
amazing.
kind of like bucket list type of
Yeah.
thing. Maybe I could do something for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, yeah, for the 30th anniversary, another thing that we pulled off, which was incredible, was we got Rock and Jelly Bean, a Japanese artist, which is known for his very risque art. And we teamed up with Claudia Wells, of all people, and we did an official Back to the Future 35th anniversary print with Claudia Wells on it.
Amazing.
And then she signed a few of them. The original Jennifer, for those who don't know. But yeah, and the fact that I have that print signed by Rock and Jelly Bean out of Japan and signed by Claudia Wells, like that's another big one for me. So, but yeah, there's oh man.
So
So
your top
maybe
five might be all Back to the Future related.
it's probably the rest is all Back to the Future related. You know, I I I'd have to take a look at my collection and
No,
see.
no, that was a deep question.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. And it the further down you go on the list, the harder it gets to pick like, number 4, number 5 and all that, because there's so many things that
Yeah,
have
yeah,
value, and not just value in terms of monetary, but sentimental and personal.
100%.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're able to enjoy the show too, because that was one of my questions. Like, are you able to enjoy it? Because I know you're working, but it sounds like you do because you have bags of stuff at the end of a show.
I
So
do. I do. Like I usually get to walk down like one row at a time before I have to run back, because a lot of people don't know that the voice in the sky is actually mine doing the announcements. So, but yeah, like I still get to enjoy the show. I probably still, like everybody else that walks the floor, I probably still about miss half the things, or not half, but there's a good percentage of things that I'm like, that was on the floor. Like I see
yeah,
videos on YouTube later of people posting recaps, and I'm like, how did I not see that? How did I like? I remember the booth next to it. I must have not seen. It's like there's so many things to see that like I enjoy the show. I love it. I buy way too much stuff, but even then, I still feel like I miss out on part of it.
that's a good sense. It's your fault you made it too fun, you know. All right, look,
Exactly.
I know we're past, and I want to be respectful of your time and Nicole's time. So I appreciate you. I'll see you in a couple weeks. I'll try
Yes,
to get bumpy if I see you in the hallways, and try not to distract you from whatever you're trying to purchase.
no
So
worries.